The rain was hammering Seattle's downtown like a vengeful god, each drop a cold accusation against the glass walls of James Carter's corner office. I stood frozen in the doorway, my heart a jackhammer in my chest, as the scene before me burned itself into my soul. My husband, my James. The man I'd built a life with for 5 years was tangled with my sister, Chloe Bennett, in a way that made the word intimate feel like a knife. Her auburn hair spilled over his shoulders, her manicured nails digging into his crisp white shirt, their mouths locked in a desperate, hungry kiss. The city skyline framed them, lightning splitting the sky like it was tearing my world apart. How long? The question screamed in my head, but my voice was a traitor, silent and useless. I was Anna Mitchell, a 34-year-old art professor at Seattle Community College, the woman who thought she knew her husband, her sister, her life. In that moment, I knew nothing. The office smelled of his cedarwood cologne and her jasmine perfume, a sickening cocktail that churned my stomach. I'd come to surprise James with takeout from our favorite Thai place, a stupid, naive gesture, to rekindle the spark we'd lost in his endless startup grind. Instead, I found them, Chloe straddling his lap in his sleek executive chair, the logo of his tech company, Nexus Innovations, glowing on the wall behind them. They didn't notice me. Not at first. The storm outside drowned out my ragged breathing, and I stood there, a ghost in my own marriage, watching the two people I loved most betray me in real time. I don't know how long I stood there seconds, maybe minutes before Chloe's eyes flicked open. She saw me over James's shoulder, and I braced for shock, for guilt, for something. Instead, she smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of her lips, like she'd won a game I didn't know we were playing. "Anna," she said, her voice syrupy with fake surprise as she slid off James's lap, smoothing her designer skirt. "You're early, as if I'd interrupted a board meeting, not caught my sister screwing my husband." James straightened his tie, his gray eyes those eyes I'd fallen for at a college art exhibit a decade ago, meeting mine with a chilling indifference. "We need to talk," he said, like he was scheduling a performance review. "Talk?" My voice cracked, a stranger's voice, raw and unsteady. "About what, James?" "About how you're fucking my sister." Chloe laughed, a sharp, tinkling sound that cut deeper than any insult. "Oh, Anna, don't be so dramatic. It's not like that. Not like that." I stepped forward, the takeout bag slipping from my hand, spilling pad thai onto the polished floor. "Then what the hell is it, Chloe? You're my sister. He's my husband." James leaned back in his chair, the picture of tech bro arrogance. "Anna, let's not make this harder than it needs to be. You and I, we've been drifting for years. You know it. Drifting. 5 years of marriage late-night study sessions. For his MBA, my freelance art gigs to pay our bills. The house we picked in Capitol Hill with dreams of kids filling the extra bedrooms. Reduced to drifting." I turned to Chloe, her influencer-perfect makeup flawless even in the dim light. At 29, she was everything I wasn't. Bold, glamorous. The kind of woman who could command a room or a TikTok algorithm with a single smile. "How long?" I whispered. They exchanged a glance, the kind that lovers share, intimate and conspiratorial. 9 months. James said finally, "Since your art gala." My gala, the one I'd poured my heart into, raising funds for local artists. Where Chloe's viral Instagram post with James' #PowerCoupleVibes- had gotten 1 million likes. I thanked her for coming, for charming his investors, for being the fun. "Sister, I've been a fool." 9 months, I repeated, my voice hollow. The room tilted, the city lights blurring through the rain-streaked windows. "You've been lying to me for 9 months. Anna, please," Chloe said, her tone dripping with the condescension she'd mastered in childhood. "It's not about lying. It's about compatibility. James and I, we get each other. We move in the same world tech. Influence, ambition. You're you. teaching art, doodling logos. It's sweet, but it's not his level. Her words were a slap, but James's silence was worse. He didn't defend me, didn't even flinch. He just checked his smartwatch, like my heartbreak was an inconvenience to his schedule. I want you out of the house, I said to him, surprised by the steel in my voice. He actually laughed. Anna, it's my house. My name's on the deed. My startup paid for it. You'll be the one leaving. And go where? I snapped, my hands trembling. Chloe crossed her legs, casual as if we were discussing weekend plans. Mom's been lonely since Dad died. Her place in Oregon could use someone to look after it. It's perfect, really. A fresh start for you. Oregon, a rural nowhere, hours from Seattle, where I'd be exiled to play caretaker while they lived their glossy, Instagram-filtered life in my home. Mom knows about this? I asked, dreading the answer. Chloe's smile widened. I told her yesterday. She gets it. She always said James was out of your league. The air left my lungs. My own mother, Diane, who'd spent years comparing my artsy career to Chloe's influencer empire, thought my husband was too good for me. I was alone, utterly alone, in a room with the two people who'd once been my everything. I don't remember leaving the office. The rain soaked me as I stumbled to my car, the Seattle skyline a mocking backdrop. I drove through the storm, my vision blurred by tears and rain, until my brakes squealed and failed on I-5. The car skidded, spinning toward a semi-truck, my scream drowned by the horn. I yanked the wheel, barely pulling onto the shoulder as the truck roared past. Inches from my bumper, my hands shook as I gripped the wheel, heart pounding. Later, a mechanic would tell me the brake lines had been tampered with clean cuts. Deliberate. Someone wanted me gone, and not just from James's life. Back at our Capitol Hill home, his home, apparently I sat on the couch, surrounded by the ghosts of our life. Our wedding photo on the mantle, my sketchbooks next to his. Tech magazines, the coffee mug I'd used that morning. Its lipstick stain like blood at a crime scene. I called Mom, hoping for a lifeline. Anna, honey, she said, her voice carefully neutral. Chloe told me enough. I know it's hard, but James and Chloe, they make sense together. They're both go-getters, big dreamers. You're different. Different? I choked out. I'm your daughter. I'm his wife. Of course. Sweetheart, but your marriage hasn't been solid for a while. Everyone could see it. And Chloe, she didn't plan this. Love just happens. Love. I spat. They're calling it love. You're always welcome here, Mom said, sidestepping my rage. Your old room's the same. I could use the help, honestly. The house is too much for me alone. A consolation prize. My childhood bedroom. A 34-year-old failure shipped off to Oregon. I hung up, poured a glass of Pinot Noir, then another, until the bottle was empty and a dangerous clarity settled over me. James and Chloe thought they could erase me, rewrite my story like I was a side character in their epic romance. They were wrong. The next morning, I found Rachel Coleman's name on a divorce attorney forum. Her reviews glowing with words like ruthless and unstoppable. Her office on the 40th floor of a downtown high-rise screamed power, all glass and steel, a stark contrast to my cluttered art studio. At 50, Rachel was sharp as a blade, her silver hair pulled into a sleek bun, her eyes dissecting me like I was evidence. Ms. Mitchell, she said, flipping through James's settlement offer $50,000. A pittance compared to his tech wealth. This is a joke. He's hiding assets. Offshore accounts. Shell companies. The works. He's been planning this since. Before you said I do. Planning? I whispered, my stomach twisting. You mean he never intended it to last? His actions scream exit strategy. Every purchase. Every stock option. Time to screw you over. But don't worry, Anna. I eat guys like him for breakfast. Rachel's confidence was a lifeline. But the danger was closing in. That night, my apartment, my temporary refuge after James locked me out, was broken into. My laptop, filled with divorce evidence, was gone. Drawers were ransacked, my sketches torn. A message scrawled on my mirror in red lipstick. Back off. I called the police, but the responding officer, a friend of James's from his networking events, shrugged it off as a random break-in. I wasn't safe. Not in my home. Not on the road. Not anywhere. James called the next day, his voice smooth as ever. Anna, let's be reasonable. Take the $50,000, move on. You don't want to play hardball with me. I've got friends, VCs, lawyers, even cops. You'll regret this. Regret. I snapped, my fear morphing into fury. You're screwing my sister. James, you don't get to lecture me about regret. He laughed, cold and sharp. You're out of your depth, Anna. Chloe's already got half of Seattle eating out of her hand. You're just the bitter ex who can't let go. Chloe's Instagram was proof. Her latest post, a selfie with James at a rooftop bar, captioned "Living my truth, #no regrets." Had 100,000 likes. The comments were a battlefield. #Team Chloe fans called her a queen, while #Team Anna supporters raged. She's a homewrecker. The city was split, and I was the villain in half their eyes. A gold digger trying to ruin a power couple. It was surreal. My life reduced to a Twitter war. I dug deeper. My art professor's research skills kicking in. James had a pattern: college girlfriends, colleagues, women tied to his inner circle. All discarded when someone shinier came along. Chloe, too, had a history. Her DM is littered with married men she charmed and dropped. They weren't in love, they were predators, feeding off the thrill of stealing what wasn't theirs. Then the emails started. Anonymous. Sent from a burner account traced to Nexus's servers. Stop now or you won't see tomorrow. My blood ran cold, but I forwarded them to Rachel. This is gold, she said, her voice gleeful. Threats tied to his company? He's digging his own grave. The threats didn't stop. One night, after teaching a late class, a black SUV tailed me through Seattle's empty streets. I floored the gas, my heart racing, and pulled into a 24-hour gas station, hiding behind the pumps as the SUV idled across the street. I called Rachel, my voice shaking. Document everything, she said. They're rattled, Anna. Rattled people make mistakes. The final straw came at a coffee shop confrontation. Chloe showed up, her influencer glow dimmed by desperation. Anna, you're ruining everything, she hissed, leaning across the table. James's IPO is tanking because of your stupid lawsuit. My brands are dropping me. Drop this or I swear. Or what? I cut in, my voice low, dangerous. A man at the next table tall, hooded. To focus on us stood abruptly, brushing past me. His shove sent me crashing to the floor. My wrist screaming in pain as I landed. Chloe's eyes widened, but she didn't move. You did this? I whispered, clutching my wrist. You and James. She fled, and the barista called 911. The man was gone, the cameras conveniently down. Rachel was unfazed. Hired muscle, she said. Amateur move. We've got them now. The pressure was building, and I felt it in my bones. My mother's betrayal cut deepest. When I confronted her, she sighed. Anna, Chloe's always been the star. You're reliable. James needs someone like her, not a teacher who paints on weekends. Her words were a gut punch, but I saw the truth. She'd always chosen Chloe's sparkle over my quiet strength. Then, a lifeline. James's mother, Ellen, called, her voice thick with shame. Anna, I raised him better than this. Fight, honey. Don't let them win. Her support, unexpected and fierce, lit a fire in me. Rachel leaked court filings to a local blogger, and the story exploded CNN, TMZ, even a Reddit thread with 10,000 upvotes. Half called me a hero, half a vengeful ex, but I was done being invisible. The climax came at a downtown diner, neutral ground where James begged to meet. He looked like hellbags under his eyes, his Rolex swapped for a cheap Timex. "Anna, I'm sorry," he said, his voice breaking. "I didn't want this to spiral. I love Chloe, but I never meant to hurt you like this." "Love?" I laughed, bitter and sharp. "You planned this, James. The prenup, the accounts, the threats. You wanted me gone." He didn't deny it. "Take the $500,000, the alimony, everything. Just stop this. My board's on my ass. My investors are bailing. And Chloe, she's not who I thought." I leaned forward, my voice a whisper. "You don't get to walk away clean. You and Chloe made this bed. Lie in it." I walked out. The rain still falling, but I felt lighter, sharper, like a blade honed by betrayal. Rachel called that night. "They're cracking, Anna. The boards. Pushing him to settle. And Chloe's lost her last sponsor. You're winning. Winning." The word felt hollow, but powerful. I wasn't just fighting for money or a house. I was fighting for me, for the Anna who'd been too trusting, too small, too willing to let others write her story. The threats, the break-ins, the public hate they'd tried to break me. But I was still standing, and I wasn't done. What? Did James know about the break lines? Who was the man in the coffee shop? Was Chloe pulling strings? Or was she just another pawn in James's game? I didn't have answers yet, but I had something better, clarity. And with it, I'd burned their world down before I let them erase mine. The Seattle rain hadn't let up in weeks, mirroring the storm inside me. Every drop on my apartment window felt like a reminder of that night in James's office. The image of him and Chloe seared into my brain like a brand. I was Anna Mitchell, the 34-year-old art professor who thought she'd built a life on love and trust, only to find it was a house of cards. Now, I was fighting not just for a fair divorce, but for my dignity, my future, my right to exist in a world that wanted me to disappear. The city buzzed with my story, split between #Team Anna and #Team Chloe. And I was caught in the crossfire of a scandal that felt more like a reality show than my life. But I wasn't backing down. Not anymore. The first crack in my resolve came. At the college, my students, a scrappy bunch of dreamers who saw me as more than Professor Mitchell, started a petition. "We stand with Anna." It read, with over 300 signatures demanding the administration support me against James's influence. Their faith in me was a lifeline, but it came with a cost. Dean Hargrove, a graying bureaucrat with a penchant for avoiding conflict, called me into his office. "Anna," he said, his voice dripping with false sympathy, "this situation with your husband is causing a stir. We're getting calls. Donors, alumni, even board members. They're concerned about professional boundaries." Boundaries? I leaned forward, my hands gripping the armrests. "My husband's trying to ruin me, Dean. He's got friends in high places, and they're leaning on you, aren't they?" Hargrove's eyes darted away. "I'm just saying, keep your personal life out of the classroom. We can't have this drama affecting the college's reputation." Reputation. The word stung. But it wasn't just the college's image at stake. James's tech connections were a spiderweb, and I was the fly caught in it. I left the meeting with a warning letter in my hand and a fire in my gut. They wanted me quiet, compliant, gone. I wasn't going to make it easy. That night, Chloe made her move. The faculty art showcase, a low-key event where I'd planned to display my students' work, turned into a circus. I was adjusting a canvas when she stormed in, her heels clicking like gunfire on the hardwood. Heads turned, students, colleagues, even the caterers froze as Chloe, in a skin-tight red dress, pointed at me like I was on trial. "You're pathetic, Anna," she shouted, her voice echoing off the gallery walls. "You're sabotaging my career because you can't handle losing James. Grow up." The room went silent, every eye on me. My heart pounded, but I forced my voice to stay steady. Sabotaging you? Chloe, you slept with my husband for 9 months. You don't get to play victim. She laughed, sharp and cruel. You're the one playing victim, Anna. Whining to lawyers, leaking stories to bloggers. You're jealous because I'm living the life you never could. The crowd murmured, phones already out. Recording. I saw the split in real-time half. The room glared at Chloe, half smirked in her favor. My student, Mia, a fiery graphic design major, stepped forward. Get out, Chloe. This is Anna's space. But Chloe just tossed her hair. Her influencer smile back in place and strutted out, leaving a trail of whispers and hashtags in her wake. By morning, her accusation was viral. Hashtag Anna the Saboteur trended alongside hashtag Team Chloe, painting me as a bitter ex out for blood. I couldn't sleep. My apartment felt like a cage, the walls closing in with every notification on my phone. Then I found it buried in a zip file on an old USB drive. A screenshot of texts between James and Chloe from before our wedding. She's sweet, but she's not you. James had written, once we're married, we'll figure out how to ease her out. Ease me out. They'd planned this from the start. A long con to strip me of everything. My hands shook as I forwarded the text to Rachel Coleman, my attorney, whose reply was immediate. This is dynamite, Anna. They're done. But they weren't done fighting. Rachel's forensic accountant uncovered James's latest move. He tried to transfer Nexus Innovations shares to a Cayman Islands shell company, a blatant attempt to dodge alimony. He's desperate, Rachel said, her voice gleeful. Over the phone, his IPO's crumbling, and his board's breathing down his neck. Keep pushing. The pressure wasn't just financial. A whistleblower from Nexus leaked emails to the Seattle Times, and the story exploded. James had siphoned investor funds to bankroll his affair with Chloe private jets, 5-star hotels, even a $10,000 necklace she'd flaunted on Instagram. TMZ ran with it, dubbing them Seattle's most hated couple, and the internet erupted. Half the comments cheered my fight, calling me a badass for standing up. The other half branded me a gold digger milking James's downfall. The talk show The Pulse aired a segment, Is Anna Mitchell a feminist hero or a vengeful ex? I watched, numb, as pundits dissected my life, my pain, my choices. The danger escalated. One night, after a late class, my phone pinged with another anonymous email. You were warned. Next time, no brakes. My blood ran cold, remembering the highway, the screech of tires, the mechanic's grim face when he showed me the cut brake lines. I called Rachel, my voice barely a whisper. They're not stopping. Then neither do we, she said. I'm filing for a court order to freeze his assets tomorrow. This ends now. The court order hit like a bomb. James's startup accounts were locked, his IPO delayed indefinitely. His board called an emergency meeting, and whispers of investor lawsuits filled the tech blogs. I should have felt victorious, but the fear was relentless. Driving home from campus, a black SUV tailed me again, its headlights glaring in my rear view. I swerved into a 7-Eleven parking lot, my hands shaking as I dialed 911. The SUV sped off, but the operator's bored tone another cop in James's pocket left me feeling exposed, hunted. Then came the diner meeting. James texted, begging for a face-to-face. No lawyers, just us. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The diner was a relic, all chipped formica and flickering neon. The kind of place where secrets go to die. James looked like a ghost of himself, no tie, no swagger. Just a man drowning in his own mess. Anna, he said, his voice low, almost broken. I fucked up. I love Chloe, but I never wanted to destroy you like this. Love, I spat, leaning forward. You planned to ease me out before we even got married. You used me, James. Both of you did. He flinched, his eyes darting to the window. I didn't mean for it to go this far. The threats, the Brake and I didn't sign off on that. I just wanted freedom. Freedom? My voice rose, sharp and jagged. You wanted to screw my sister and keep your millions. Don't play the martyr. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a desperate whisper. Drop the lawsuit, Anna, please. I'll give you the $500,000, the alimony, everything. Just stop before this buries us all. I studied his face, searching for the man I'd loved. The one who'd laughed with me over late-night pizza in our tiny college apartment. He was gone, replaced by this hollow shell, caught between guilt and Chloe's leash. You don't get to walk away clean, I said, my voice steady. You made this bed. Lie in it. I stood, leaving him slumped in the booth, the weight of his choices crushing him. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the air felt electric, like the city was holding its breath. I was winning, but at what cost? Who sent those emails? Was Chloe pulling strings, or was James lying about the threats? The questions gnawed at me, each one a hook dragging me deeper into the fight. The next blow came from Chloe. Her Instagram live was a train wreck mascara-streaked tears, her voice cracking as she ranted about toxic family and jealous haters. She didn't name me, but the subtext was clear. I was the villain, the bitter sister ruining her fairy tale. The comments were brutal. #Team Chloe fans called her brave. But the tide was turning. You stole her husband. Girl, one user wrote. Own it. Her followers dropped by the thousands. And her last sponsor, a luxury skincare brand, pulled out. Chloe was crumbling, and I felt a twisted satisfaction, tempered by the ache of our broken sisterhood. Then, a lifeline, a literary agent, drawn by the media frenzy, emailed me about a book deal. Betrayed but unbroken, she pitched a memoir of my fight against James and Chloe's betrayal. Publishers were already bidding, smelling a bestseller. I hesitated. My life as a public spectacle felt raw, invasive, but the chance to control my narrative, to help other women, was too powerful to ignore. I signed the contract, my hands trembling with purpose. The final confrontation came at a Nexus board meeting, where Rachel had secured me an invitation as a concerned party. The boardroom was all glass and ego, Seattle's skyline looming. Like a jury, James sat at the head, flanked by suits who looked ready to bolt. Rachel dropped the bomb. Emails proving James's misuse of investor funds, his shell company scam, and texts linking him to the threats against me. The board went silent, their faces pale. James tried to speak, but Rachel cut him off. Your CEO's a liability, she said, her voice a blade. Settle with Anna, or this goes to the SEC. The board caved. James's startup collapsed under the weight of lawsuits, his reputation in tatters. He was fired that day, his dreams of tech stardom reduced to ash. Chloe, meanwhile, fled to LA. Her influencer career dead, relegated to a cubicle job in corporate PR. The city that had once worshipped her now mocked her, her name synonymous with scandal. My mother called, her voice softer than I'd ever heard. Anna, I was wrong, she said. I thought Chloe was the strong one, but you're steel. Your father would be proud. It wasn't an apology, not fully, but it was enough. We were rebuilding, slowly, on new terms. I caught my husband kissing my sister in his high-rise office. What I did next turned Seattle upside down.